Good morning, everybody. I'm Elanie Beckett from Own My Soul Yoga Veda and joining Change Creator this morning again for my regular little 20 minutes on health. And this week we are still working on mental health. And we started a little exercise 5 days ago of decluttering our space, getting rid of unwanted things in our environment, in our physical environment, so that we have more mental space to spend on our creativity. And today on day 5, what I want to speak to you about is relationships. Stanley will be on after me, specifically going into the details of relationships. But the relationships I want to speak about is on a little bit of a different level, a little bit of a different angle to the same topic. So if you have been following along and if you've even been implementing the things that we've been speaking about, clearing out your space, getting rid of the clutter, starting to organize your life so that you're spending less time tidying up after kids, less time cleaning stuff that's really just taken up space, then you will have been along on this journey and noticed that as things change in your environment, your thinking patterns start to change. And now a week in, especially if we weren't in lockdown, but we are, but maybe a week in, you've started speaking to people about your journey, about your decluttering thing. Perhaps you've started packing up some stuff, perhaps you've started throwing out some stuff now that we have the time. And you might find that having spoken to people about your own journey has raised some questions, has raised perhaps even some alarm in some of your friends and family, or perhaps it's just raised good old healthy curiosity. And maybe you've got people who are supporting you on your journey. I really hope so. But what I can share with you, and this you might experience after the lockdown or even during the lockdown, is that as you start changing some of your habits around mental health, around physical health, as you start incorporating some changes into your life, you might be met with some resistance. So now is a good time to become aware of that possibility so that not if but when it comes, you are prepared and that you don't go into panic mode and start questioning yourself. Any change that we make for our own health, remember we've got that character in our heads that Stanley always speaks about, Mr. X. Now, Mr. X is that little alien in your mind that wants to keep you safe. And the short version is that whenever anything in your life changes, whenever anything in your environment changes, Mr. X starts jumping up and down, right? Because our reptilian brain, our survival brain, our very evolution has programmed us that whenever there's sudden changes, danger might lurk or something might happen that we're no longer safe. So when you change your eating habits, when you change your environment, when you change your friendships or your job, that's why we have this difficulty in making changes, because we are literally biologically programmed to think that we're no longer going to be safe in a change. Now, just as much as I have Mr. X in my head and you have it in your head, your friends and families and loved ones also have it in their heads. And Mr. X doesn't only want to keep me safe, Mr. X also wants to keep my loved ones safe. So when you start getting opposition from people who love you, remember that the space that it comes from, even though it might be perceived as criticism, the space that it comes from is because their Mr. X is jumping up and down and thinking, oh my goodness, this person is making a change. What if they are no longer safe? So if you start taking steps towards improving your physical health, your mental health, your relationship health, even spiritual health, other people's Mr. X's might be jumping up and down thinking that something is going to change for you that will make sure that you are no longer safe. And they're going to try and talk you out of these changes. It's just what human beings are programmed to do. So what you need to be aware of and what you need to be mentally prepared for is this resistance from other people. In your journey to health, you might lose people and you need to have a conversation with yourself whether or not you're okay with this. When we switch our eating habits, like now what I've been teaching you, starting to cook a different way, starting to cook Ayurvedic meals that are in line with your own body's needs, your own immediate family might say to you, hey, but why are you now suddenly not eating a lot of salad anymore? Let's say you're a Vata constitution, you're an air element. Air elements, air and space elements don't generally do well with a lot of cold, light, dry foods and salads and things like that. But now let's say you've been, because of the way that we've been programmed in society, been eating a lot of salads, which is perceived as healthy, And now you suddenly make changes where you eat more cooked foods, you eat more oily and greasy foods because now you know that that is good for vata. Your people who become used to seeing you eat salads are going to question, say, wait a minute, what are you doing now? Why are you adding fat and oil and grease back into your diet? You're going to get unhealthy. So just stick to the knowledge that you have. Today I'm going to post on the Oh My Soul Yoga Veda page, I'm going to post a link for you guys that gives you access to a 100% free certification course. You don't have to do the certification if you don't want to be certified, but it's a little 10-day course that you can actually complete in one day if you just want to listen to the tutorials. And it's completely free. It was created by the Yoga Veda Institute in Palm Beach, Florida. And that is a very in-depth, broad program that can give you a fantastic idea of exactly how your body works. So I really want to encourage you today to go and access that free program. If you love it so much that you want to do the certification, then you can do the assignments that come with it. But if you're just curious and you want that knowledge for yourself and your family, go and download that free program and you're going to learn so much of how to deal with your own body and become more healthy. All right, but let's get back to our little minimalism thing that we've been doing. So getting back to that, when you start decluttering your life and decluttering your mind, your thought patterns are bound to change. Things that you haven't had the space to really process and think about might come up for you again. You might start thinking and questioning things that you haven't thought about or questioned in a long time. And this means that you might even be questioning some of your relationships. And that can be a very scary place for us to be in because we cling to our relationships very often as much as we cling to our physical possessions. You might be in a relationship that's not healthy, whether it's a romantic relationship or a toxic friendship or a toxic parent-child relationship. And you need to make some serious decisions in the next coming weeks while you are now isolated. How much do I need this relationship? Is this relationship healthy for me? And is this relationship bringing me closer to my dream or taking me further away from my dream? If you go back to your day 1 and 2 of the little mental health program that I started 5-6 days ago, you'll see that day 1 was your planning and your dreaming day. Who do I want to be? Who can I see myself growing into that would make my spirit feel happy and fulfilled? Do I want to finish a book? Do I want to finish a painting or even start painting? Start a new craft? Start a new project? Start a new online program? Do I want to study in a completely different direction that will give me fulfillment and perhaps even get out of a job that might have been smothering me for years, something that I ended up in? Now is your perfect opportunity, but be prepared that your relationships might change. And that's a very scary place to be. But know that just like the universe abhors a void, like I've explained to you earlier, when you start releasing your physical possessions, new and better and more relevant things will come into your life. The same thing happens with relationships. Not very often, always, when one relationship ends, there is a void and there is a space for new relationships and new people to come into your life. And if you approach those new possibilities with an open mind, those relationships might very well be the ones that God, the universe, call it what you want, has sent into your space in order to grow into that person that you've now made the decision to become on day 1 or 2 of this program. So that's what I want to invite you to do today, is as you are freeing up space in your environment, getting rid of the clutter, remember that one man's trash is another man's treasure. You may very well find that by releasing your physical possessions and giving it away, donating, even approaching friends and family first to hear what they want, if you don't feel embarrassed to do that, very oftentimes you might know a friend who needs a thing that you have 2 of, and you've been clinging to your own physical possession. Approach that friend and say, listen, I've got an extra blender, or I've got a stick blender that I don't really use. Do you want it? And give it away. You know what? You might find that you start cementing friendships or building new friendships in places that you never thought it was possible. So be open to that. As you receive criticism later on, as your journey progresses, criticism, ridicule, it's inevitable. Know that those relationships are probably coming to an end because they are keeping you stuck. And we will always be with our obvious crowd, the people who will tell us the same things over and over that we ourselves believe at any particular time, any particular point in time where we are. And the obvious crowd are the ones who say, obviously, we're all going to struggle getting back into our jobs after lockdown. Obviously, we're all going to struggle financially. Obviously, we're all going to lose this or that or the other one, or obviously this and obviously that. Find a new obvious crowd. Those people who tell you, obviously, this lockdown is perfect for us to explore possibilities, to create new careers, to work on our health. Obviously, we now have the freedom to cook healthier meals, instead of the crowd that says, obviously, we're all going to get fat and unhealthy and unfit sitting on our butts all day during lockdown. All right, so that's my message for you today, is to be aware that relationships will change. You will receive criticism where people will tell you that the normal way to do things is this, that, or the other way. One person's normal doesn't have to be your normal. Create your normal, your own normal, or find the crowd that agrees with your normal. If people start telling you that normal people do this or that, or for the average person this or that, make the decision. Do you want to be average? Ordinary people work 8 to 5. Regular people have a steady job. Do you want to be ordinary? Do you want to be regular? People will try to keep you where you are because that's where they are. And just as much as you treasure your relationships and want to cling to them, people will also treasure their relationship with you and cling to it. So getting free from those toxic relationships, or even if they're not toxic, just the relationships that keep you stuck, can be a very difficult, painful process. But go with it whenever you are ready, and just keep your vision on that person that you see yourself becoming during the next couple of months, when you have this wonderful opportunity to be at home all the time in the world, to really explore what you want to do with your life. So I'm going to leave you with that. Stanley will be back in a couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so, talking about relationships in depth, specifically the ones that you are dealing with in your own household during lockdown. And after that, we'll have Maya Febi on with some inspiration right here on the Change Creator SA page. So I'll see you again perhaps a little bit later if I do something creative with my cooking. Alternatively, catch me on Oh My Soul Yoga Veda tomorrow morning, 9 to 10 SAST, South African time. And let's get into those yoga movements. Nice, easy, gentle movements to just keep us moving during our lockdown. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon.